criteria that sets a limit in optical techniques, that the lower limit, that below this we cannot see the particle properly, is what is, you have studied this in conventional. Has he joined us? Yes. Okay. So in conventional microscopy, you call it the Rayleigh criteria. This is the diffraction limit, the resolving power, and so on. And you know that below this, if you see, there are ambiguities in the structure and the resolution of the image. So this is decided by what? The resolution limit of a microscope. How small can it see before the image gets blurred or inaccurate? That is, there is an overlap of one or two of the images together. So that is decided by what is the wavelength that is incident, the refractive index of the medium in which the lens is operating, the microscopic lens, and the collecting angle of the lens. And therefore, the resolution limit has been defined as delta. This is equal to 1.22 lambda upon 2n sine theta. What is n? N is the refractive index. Lambda is the wavelength of light that is incident on the particle. And theta is the collecting angle of the lens. Is this part clear to everybody, that what is the resolving power of a normal microscope that you already know of? Clear to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now there is an example in your book given, and I will ask you to solve so that you get an idea of what a resolving power is. What is the resolution? Please, everybody start doing the calculation. First, listen to the question. Adam wants to join us. Okay. Who has left? Oh. What will be the theoretical resolution limit for an optical microscope which has a collecting angle of 70 degrees? And the lambda is 400 nanometer. The refractive index of the medium is 1.56. Why? The refractive index of air is 1. But the lens now that we are dealing with has been immersed in oil, and therefore its refractive index of medium is 1.56. Lambda is 400 nanometer. The collecting angle is 70 degrees. What is delta? So that you get an idea that what is delta. And in refractive index is 1.56. ठीक है? आप ये बताइए, इसके बाद हम आपको एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात बताएंगे. साइन 70 की वैल्यू चाहिए होगी ना?
Yes, ma'am.
0.70 की वैल्यू है 0.939. निकल आया? ये थियोरेटिकल लिमिट सेट करता है माइक्रोस्कोप के ऊपर कि इससे कम माइक्रोस्कोप नहीं देख पाएगा, रिजॉल्व नहीं कर पाएगा, इससे छोटा पार्टिकल हुआ. क्या निकल रहा है?
मैम 167 नैनोमीटर.
167 नैनोमीटर. वेरी गुड. 166, 167 नैनोमीटर इतना निकला. ठीक है ना? Now this is the theoretical limit set on the microscope. In practice क्या होता है? Normally क्या कहते हैं हम लोग? The best resolution is कि जब lambda by 2 के ऑर्डर का हो, तो lambda by 2 के ऑर्डर का हुआ, इसका मतलब अब in practice normally हम कहते हैं 200 नैनोमीटर के ऑर्डर का होगा. समझ में आ गई ये बात सबको?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we now know if we deal with these numbers in normal microscopy, what is the resolution? Now the point is, why is this normal? Now I will mute all of you. I can hear otherwise all kinds of noises. Okay. What happens? We are dealing in this particular subject in what we are studying, we are dealing with small objects. So small objects, when viewed by a normal microscope, it is very difficult to see such, because wavelength has to be of the order of the object at least. So when we see this small object, it will be scattering, it will be emitting, and it will be scattered and emitted both, and a combination of all these things will be seen by us. So what happens when we see let us consider the example of a large object, and let us say a car, which we see from here, from 10 meters, from 100 meters, we will see the same object. However, if we go nearby, if we go in the nanometer range, then we will see an object that will contain the details: what is the color, what are the pigments, what is used to color the bonnet of the car, and so on. And therefore, at distances 1 meter, 100 meter, and 200 meter or 50 meters, the object will appear the same. However, going nearer to the object will give us finer details about the particle. And this is why we need near field light or near field microscopy to see objects which are really small. So near field light, what is this? We are aware that the photons, they have a single wavelength, and how they let us consider a photon, will have a wavelength, not the entire spectrum. And therefore, light which is there, let us say it has not even traveled one wavelength before we capture it. That is, it has interacted with the particle and we have still captured it. That is near field light. Has everybody understood that even one wavelength of the photon, a particular wavelength that we have chosen, that interacts with the object and has not traveled the complete one wavelength of it has. This light is a very sharp light for a short duration, and then it is called a transitory wave, and then it will exponentially die after interacting with the particle. And the whole idea is to trap this light while it is in its transitory phase, and then we get an image. This light, because it fades away so fast, is called the forbidden light. The near field light is called the forbidden light. It decays exponentially. So within a single wavelength, it is completely gone. So the highest amplitude of the near field light that has been experimentally observed is what? It's normally around 10 nanometer of the object. When the light is about 10 nanometers away from the object that it is probing, it stays there for about a very short duration, and then it decays very fast. Unlike the far field light, where it doesn't matter, it travels forever. And therefore, you see the far field light, like the example of a 1 meter, viewing a car from 1 meter, 100 meters, 50 meters, and so on. So therefore, near field light is a technique which is very special to small objects, which will capture the details of a small object, but in a very short duration. And therefore, there are tricks to manipulate this. Now, I will ask if this part is clear to everybody, then we will proceed how near field light is, how it works, and how it gives us rise to a special kind of tweezer. Is this part clear so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I can hear always only two yes ma'ams. One is Kumar Mangalam, the other is Saundarya. What happens to the others? They don't understand anything. Kya hua?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Bolo
I
bhai,
was also
Baki?
speaking, Simran.
Ai kaun hai?
Ma'am, Simran was also speaking.
Simran, हाँ, correct. Simran, Tarun, yeah, okay.
मैम आप सुन रहे हैं मैम?
हम यहाँ भजन गा रहे हैं. हाँ? चलो. अच्छा. So, what is the objective of the near field light? That it should see very small objects. ठीक है ना? Now, इसका मतलब कि हम object के we have to place. I think Adam has also joined us today, so we have to be really. I have to continue in English, and okay. So in the near field light, what happens that the detector has to be placed very close to the object, and so that you do not lose the transitory wave that comes from the after the light interacts with the object. So the detector which is placed there has a very small aperture, and which is within one wavelength of the light from the object. And what do? And we collect the information. That means we put the aperture near the of the detector. We put the detector near, very close to the object, almost like I said, it dies within 10 nanometers near the object, and then we collect whatever comes out, and then we amplify it and analyze it. So there are different modes now which have been established for near field microscopy, and one mode is the collection mode. What is the collection mode? Collection mode means when the sample that you are studying, you have kept there, illuminated it from below, and the transmitted light is collected in the near field region by the probe that you have put there for collection. Okay, so this is the collection mode, that the sample has been illuminated from below and the transmitted light is collected, and then you analyze it. The other one is the illumination. What happens in the illumination mode? The probe illuminates the sample, and what happens? Only a small part of the sample is illuminated, and then light is collected from by the lens that is placed there, and then you analyze the sample. So you either have the collection mode or the illumination mode. That is, you directly illuminate the light, or you illuminate it from below. Either the collection mode or the illumination mode, doesn't matter, gives you the same information. But the only necessary condition for the entire system to work is that the probe has to be really close in near field microscopy, so that you can get the entire information. Now, this is how will you do this? You know that in a scanning probe microscopy, what happens? A probe moves on the surface of the sample. This is a non-contact system, and what happens? To this probe, you attach your optical fiber is normally attached to a scanning probe, a microscope probe, and with a reflective metal coating on it, and that which is placed about 10 nanometers near the within 10 nanometers of the object to be probed, and then the information that we get is collected, and that is what we analyze. Now, the problem with this, all is good so far, that we can see small objects almost of the size of nanometers. All this is fine. What is the disadvantage? The disadvantage is that since you have to, this wavelength is built, you are dealing with such small wavelengths, what will happen? The disadvantage is that the scanning speed is very, very slow, and distances traveled and the objects that you see is a really small portion that you see. Another disadvantage is that since you are placing your probe very near the object, therefore the depth of this material, that is the width of the material that you choose to probe, should be very narrow, otherwise the entire material will not be seen, since the probing light is only 10 nanometers. Anjali wants to join us, is quite nearby. Okay. So depth field, so this is why this technique has some disadvantages, but we can still probe materials. Okay. Now, using this technique, a device has been made which is known as a optical tweezer. What is a tweezer? Tweezer is something that you take in your hands, you lift something, and why Anjali is not being able to enter? What in a tweezer, you lift something with your hands. You with a tweezer, you keep from place A, point A to point B. You can keep it there. That is how you use a tweezer in the laboratory. Wherever you tackle with things that you don't want to touch with your hands, then the the tweezers are used. Now, what is an optical tweezer? You know that the photon has no mass, but still it has a momentum, correct? Photons which although having no mass, will still have a momentum by virtue of its motion, and that is what P is h by lambda. You know what h is, you know what lambda is. Lambda is the photon's wavelength, and h is the Planck's constant. So whenever light is reflected from an object, the photon will change its direction. It has a momentum, it will change its direction after interacting with the material that you have kept there to be probed. The incident thing is a photon in your near field microscopy or any microscopy, correct? So what is happening? The photon which has fallen in an object will change its direction after interacting with the object that it has been sent to probe. As a result of that, what is happening? For the momentum to be conserved, the object must then move in an opposite direction, because the photon has moved in one direction after interaction. So opposite to that direction, the object must move. However, the photon, you must understand, has a very, very small momentum. But advantage here is, even though the photon object momentum is small, the object that we are probing is also very small, and therefore it is capable of moving in the opposite direction. And in this way, we can move around objects by making photons of different wavelengths incident on it. And this is what is known as an optical tweezer. That means small atoms, particles, viruses, bacteria, DNA, they can all be moved about by focusing laser lights on them, that is photons of a known frequency, which exert a force on the particle, that is a piconewton of force on a particle. And then this technique is known as an optical tweezer, that is shifting one thing from place A to place B. Another thing that has, I will just briefly unmute all of you. ठीक है अभी तक?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So these optical tweezers have had a very important application while using biological molecules, specifically the DNA. What is done? Two beads are attached to the two ends of the long strand of the DNA molecule, and these DNA molecule, the two beads, they are also molecules. The beads are also these beads are pushed around by the optical tweezers. So when two laser beams are pushing the beads at two ends, then what is happening? The DNA strand is stretching. So this is how the elasticity of a DNA strand is tested using optical tweezers, and then we can find out at what is the force that is required to break the DNA strand. That means we keep on pushing using optical tweezers, the two ends of which are tied to the beads. That means we keep on pushing the beads. एक लंबी सी मुड़ी हुई रस्सी पे दोनों तरफ बॉल बांध दें और उस बॉल को खींचते रहें जब तक रस्सी टूट ना जाए. It's the simple process that is adopted. Clear to everybody what is optical tweezer and how it is used?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is how this technique of near field light is used in seeing small objects. The probe is placed close to the object, and then there are methods of using lights of small wavelengths and pushing around or seeing if we give a small force of the order of piconewtons to a small particle, how it reacts, what is the momentum transfer, what is it. its elasticity in the case of DNA, and this is how the optical tweezers are used. So we will move forward to something that is called nanomachining. What is nanomachining? That means you are nanomechanics deals with what you want to make a small device, and then all the processes that are involved in making those devices is what the mechanics is involved. That is, you are aware of the nanomechanic technique. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
अच्छा ठीक है, ठीक ठीक, हमको लगा सुनाई नहीं पड़ रहा है. अच्छा, so what is nanomechanics? Nanomechanics में we make these, we know that we make these small objects and then we make devices out of it. We are aware of the methods of making these devices. That is, if we simply consider a semiconductor, normally most of the devices are being made using semiconductors. We know that it is a multi-step process. Otherwise, what is the multi-step process that is involved? That means you have a substrate on which there is an oxide layer, then you have a photoresist, and then you do the etching of the, you remove the oxide layer, then you make metallic contacts. We have studied this in the class, how reactive ion etching is done to get pits formed in the semiconductor. Then you again make the oxide layer. It's a multi-step process that is normally done in bulk single crystal materials to make contacts or make devices like MOSFETs and so on. Single crystal nanomachining is something that I taught you in the class, that you can coat it with an oxide layer, then etch it, then again take a contact. Here we are dealing, I will tell you about a new technique that is known as CyMOX. Can so far, everybody, is there any confusion? Please ask me.
No, ma'am.
Once again, I will repeat. Everybody who has joined us late, please do fill the exam form online. And किसी रूमर पे विश्वास मत रखना, कोई ऑनलाइन एग्जाम का वो नहीं है. ऐसी अखबार में छप गया है कि ऑनलाइन एग्जाम होगा, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. ऑनलाइन फॉर्म भर दें आप लोग एग्जाम का, सभी लोग. ठीक है?
Okay, ma'am.
हाँ ठीक है. Now I'll mute you again. And now we are proceeding to a technique that is nanomachining for heterostructures, epitaxial heterostructures. Epitaxial heterostructures you are aware of. That means epitaxial growth hui hai on a structure like silicon substrate pe, and uski nanomachining kaise karte hain? One of the techniques used is called CyMOX, SIMOX. What is this? CyMOX का मतलब होता है separation by implantation of oxygen. तो S जो है वो सेपरेशन का है, I और M जो है वो इम्प्लांटेशन का है, और OX ऑक्सीजन का है. CyMOX, separation by implantation of oxygen. So in the CyMOX technique, what is used? First, a wafer is taken which is quite thick, and then it is an amorphous substrate on which there is this is a silicon layer, and you then implant a large amount of oxygen through the top silicon substrate. Which means what? You have a thick silicon substrate. The whole idea is to make a small device, no? So how is this CyMOX technique used to make a small device? And this is called nanomachining. That means you take a thick substrate of silicon on which a large amount of oxygen is implanted through the top silicon surface, and this forms a buried layer of amorphous SiO2 in the silicon. That means with a large amount of energy, silicons will the oxygen will come and get implanted implanted inside the silicon and therefore form a silicon dioxide inside. This implanted wafer, now this will be at if we know the energy and we know the wafer, we know, I have told you about ion implantation earlier also, we know where it will go and sit. Then several hours at very high temperature, we anneal this system. After annealing the system, what happens? This annealing separates the SiO2 from the Si into a smooth buried layer. That means from the surface at a given depth inside the material, all the SiO2 gets formed due to this annealing, and there is recrystallization of silicon on the top surface into a single crystal layer above the buried SiO2 layer. Once again, I will repeat, we take a thick silicon substrate on which we implant a large dose of oxygen from the top surface. When we implant, we know the energy of the implanted oxygen ions, and therefore we know where more or less they will go and sit. After this process has been done, the entire unit is kept at very high temperatures for annealing. You are aware that annealing is done below the melting temperature. And then annealing does what? It makes a wonderful layer of SiO2, which is embedded, which is at a depth inside the Si structure. And on the top layer, from where the oxygen had entered, it recrystallizes because of the temperature. It again forms its bonds and so on. And you have now a single crystal of Si with a buried SiO2 layer inside. And after this, then you cover it with a mask of whatever device you want to make. And then what is done? Then you, with a strong acid like a hydrofluoric acid, is put in to remove wherever the oxygen, the silicon and the SiO2 has to be removed. Hydrofluoric acid will remove all these things and you can take contacts. That is how a buried layer is put inside and a small device is made on a single crystal of silicon dioxide. That is, a mask is placed, and then selectively, wherever there is no material in the mask, the acid will go in and etch out the Si and SiO2 and give you a contact to the base silicon. What is the structure that we have formed? We had a silicon substrate. We buried a deep layer of SiO2 over it, and on the top again we have silicon. So it's a SiO2, Si structure. We put a mask, and then we can have a buried structure inside, and we can selectively etch out whatever you want, the silicon or the SiO2, etch it out using a strong acid, and they take electrical contacts. This is how nanomachining is done on an epitaxial heterostructure. I will unmute you to ask you if you have understood this or not. Is it clear, the Simox process? Is this clear to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
Simox process.
Yes,
Huh?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Acha. ठीक. So, what is the advantage that we have of this, the Simox process? Just to give you some numbers, the Simox process, the wafers are normally of the order of 0.4 micron, and then in this you have buried silicon dioxide layer of which is very small again within it, which is of the order of 0.2 microns, and then a single crystal. But the disadvantage is that the top layer of silicon has a large number of defects. Why? Because number one, it has been implanted with a huge number of oxygen ions. Some might reform after annealing their bonds and make a nice single crystal, but some might form a dislocation which will run through the oxide layer to the underlying silicon. That means a line defect is likely to get formed in these structures, but still they are used. So the defect density can be high in these structures because of the aggressive way in which it is made. So, and then there can also be a problem of the uniformity in the thickness of the top layer, because at some places the buried oxide, that means there will be a waiver of plus minus 2-3% of the oxide layer where it is getting formed. 2-3% only, not much. So this is how nano machining is done, nano patterning is done using the CyMOX technique. Once again, I will repeat, it is the separation by implantation of oxygen. We have very little time left. I will briefly unmute all of you and ask if everything so far is okay with all of you. And from today onwards, start preparing for this paper. It is, as you know, a paper which requires a lot of preparation.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody has all material, anything required. I have sent you all names of books. Saundarya has forwarded, I hope.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Acha, I think we have to get in touch with Amandeep and Simran who will come and leave us at random because of the connectivity issue, and Anjali. Not Anjali, who was it? Anju Yadav.
Anju.
Anju, I don't
Yes,
think,
ma'am.
Anju, everybody help out Anju. She doesn't get this internet connectivity in her village. Only early morning she gets internet connectivity. Please help Anju in these difficult times, everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am.
Okay.
Okay then, bye-bye. And all the best. I'll see you. Huh? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
stay safe. Okay.
You
Bye.
too, ma'am. Bye. Ma'am,
Okay? Go ahead.
ma'am, can we know our internal marks?
मेरे पास मैंने कॉपी चेक कर ली लेकिन मेरे पास है नहीं, डिपार्टमेंट में है.
Okay.
Okay.
I have checked and I have also made the total sheet. I mean, after adding your presentation marks, I have also made the award list for the internals. Everything is ready. लेकिन by the time I could bring it home, वो लॉकडाउन हो गया ना, गेट ही था, सब गेट्स बंद हो गए हैं ना,
Yes.
Yes.
तो ये हो गया है. So when I go, yeah, internal marks are there. Don't worry about the marks. वो तो परीक्षा हो गई है ना.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. But it went so bad.
अब इसकी no, nothing is bad. चलिए अब जो है आप लोग इसकी तैयारी करिए, ठीक है?
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
बाय बाय.
Bye,
Bye,
bye.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
बाय.